There are 3 easy steps. The most important thing that you can have as an individual on this planet is another way to live. And the quickest way to start actively untangling your brain, then it becomes an escape mechanism. The snowball effects, honey, work in both ways, you know? I want to do nothing. And how do we counteract that? The way I did it at first, girl, but I can't read. Am I dumb? Like, I look like the first human being, okay? Excuse me. It's like 30 degrees. We all planned for like a shitty like week. It said like it was gonna rain. And yeah, I'm here and in the park going for a swim later. I didn't plan this, so excuse the look, okay? I'm not in my familiar. But I think it's cute, no? And I mean, like, very nice out here. Your boy has like a good view, so I like it. I needed to check the framing, girl. Are we good? Are we good? Yes, we're good. Hey lovely witches and wizards, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to look at something with you guys that was bothering me for a long time. And it basically is what to do when nothing goes right. Like, why does it sometimes feel like life sabotages us when we're trying to change? You get a raise and then your car needs repair, or you start healing and suddenly your anxiety comes back stronger than ever. Or you feel like you're moving forward and life pulls you back 2 or 3 steps again. For years I thought I was cursed. Like, maybe some of you feel the same way, I don't know. But like, I thought it was like a me problem. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Every time I'm trying to move forward, something is happening. And yeah, I needed to find out that what if the problem isn't bad luck? Like, what if the problem is that I was unconsciously recreating the very reality that I was trying to escape? And today I want to show you why that happens and the 3 things that helped me finally break free from that cycle. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's cast finita incantatum on this nonsense together. So first of all, you need to know, and I needed to learn that as well, that you can do all the manifestation in the world and all the visualizations you want and all the practices that all the gurus out there are teaching, but you still have attachments in your old reality, and then it's super hard to change into a desired reality. Why? It's like old enchantments. In other words, when you are still holding on to pain or hurt, anxiety, fear, anger, etc., you're creating a frequency that will attract more of the same. Like, for example, after my breakup, I became obsessed with proving that I was enough. Every financial setback felt like proof that I had failed. Every obstacle felt personal. It took me like a long time to realize that life wasn't punishing me. My nervous system was simply trying to return to what felt familiar, even when that place was painful. And I thought the answer was becoming more successful, more money, more achievement, more proof. But the more I chased the proof, the more exhausted I became. And what finally changed my life wasn't becoming extraordinary, it was learning to show up consistently. And if you have like a dysregulated nervous system, then no amount of positive thinking or visualizations are going to take root, because your nervous system was made to keep you alive. And if it feels under attack, it will not let you rest. It only has 2 states, safe or not safe. And there is no in between. So it is unfortunately the case that many people's nervous system is in a constant not safe state and screaming at them, danger, 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 and they just became extremely adept at ignoring it. And so that's why you always have that nagging feeling in the back sometimes of your mind. That's why you always wait for the other shoe to drop. That's why it feels like every time you take a step forward, something comes up that seems to take you 2 or 3 steps backwards. Again, no? Like, that's your nervous system creating an environment that it deems as safe and familiar again. For example, if you get some extra money or a promotion or a salary, and then magically out of nowhere you get a big bill, unexpected expense, where it basically takes 1-to-1 the amount you gained. Does that feel familiar? Why does that happen? I'm glad you asked. When we feel unsafe around success, money, love, or visibility, we often make unconscious choices that recreate familiar situations. You want to change, and your very own nervous system sabotages you. But that's not actually the case. What actually is happening is that it doesn't care what you say, Your nervous system speaks in a language of sensation. If it doesn't feel safe, no matter how many times you tell it to, it's like, yo, homie, I don't feel safe, this situation doesn't feel safe, I need to protect us. So it constrains around the situation. That's why it feels like sand going through your fingers. Whatever that thing that it is that we are talking about for you, love, money, time, success, whatever, is because you are so tight around that feeling. And we need to loosen up that tightness. And most of the people have that tightness in their stomach, so if you can feel it in there, that would be a great start, little wizard. But that's maybe for another time. It's super important to realize that some of this, if not all of this, is not your fault. At least not consciously. All of this happened in your early childhood or formative years during your upbringing. You inherited and copied your patterns of your parents, like all children do. We were sponges. We were supposed to copy our authority figures or our maternal or paternal parentage. So every family has like a family field, you need to imagine. And when you were born, in order to calibrate yourself, you have, because you wanted to fit into your family structure, you calibrated yourself unconsciously to that family field. So, and now as an adult, it's important to examine all your conscious and unconscious beliefs and update them, babe. Because as long as you are running on 20, 30, sometimes even 40 or 50-year-old problems or softwares, then not much can and will change. And also, we don't live in a world right now that is very conducive to have a regulated nervous system. So you're not on your own, and you are not damaged or broken, but you are now before a decision. Now that you know, are you going to regulate your system and start to create the life you truly want, and your soul is excited and giddy for? Are you going to keep living in fear and numbing your brain with alcohol, drugs, weed, vaping, doom scrolling, etc. to escape that feeling and the thoughts in your head? If you want the former, give me 10 minutes of your attention and I will give you back hours. There are 3 easy steps to achieve a regulated nervous system. And my magical creature, come here and you will get all the deets. Step 1. Get mental clarity. What do we mean by that? Face your inner programs or your inner old programs and acknowledge them, but let them go and make room for new ones. Step 2. Start dopamine detoxing. The reason you can't slow down is because you are afraid of the silence and you need to be comfortable again with silence. And step number 3, and the most important step I would say, become a creative athlete. Don't worry, I will go into each step individually to tell you exactly how you can apply that in your life to finally see real progress and be the magician you were born to be. Step 1. Get mental clarity. Your nervous system isn't your enemy, love. The road to heaven leads through hell. There is no ifs, whens or buts about it. All the old mysteries and all the old religions agree about one thing. In order to achieve enlightenment, in order to achieve nirvana, in order to achieve transcendence of this mortal plane, you need to face your inner critics, let's call them. You need to face your inner demons. Whatever you want, but you need to illuminate all the dark spots you have. How do we do that? Because they seem so big and scary, no? Like those thoughts, they seem real, or the potential of them seeming real is so scary. But that right there, darling, is the only power that they have. That right there. Your belief in what they are saying could be true. That's why you scan endlessly to prove them, the voices, saboteurs, whatever you want to call them, or to yourself that what they said was wrong. But exactly that, you're vigilant scanning, you're remembering what they said and how it hurt you and how it made you feel. Exactly that is what is feeding them, because you are giving your doubts or fears attention, and whatever you give attention to grows. So that's why it's super important that every time a limiting belief or an intrusive thought maybe even comes into your head, you don't run from it. Like, you don't accept it as yours either or as truth, and you don't scan it and your whole being or mind because it might correlate to something that you are feeling or that is inside you. But what do you do instead? I'm glad you asked, beautiful light soul. What you do instead is you first of all sit still and breathe. That's like the most important step. okay, whatever it is. And then we create some distance between you and the thought. How do we do that? In that we realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing your thoughts. They're like around you. Your brain functions like a receiver. Of course, you can use your brain to generate thoughts as well, but your brain is also an antenna that gets like many thought forms from the collective or from other places. So you are never your thoughts. Please remember that. You are not your thoughts, and don't judge yourself upon the thoughts that come into your mind. Like a great teacher or headmaster once said, it is not our thoughts, Harry, that determine who we are. It's our actions. I think that wasn't right. He said it wasn't our abilities. But in that context, okay, we say thoughts, but he said he said abilities. But it's the same. So our thoughts or abilities are not who we are. It's our actions that determine who we are. So another way to also think about it is we need to take away its power. And how do we do that? By shining a conscious light on the thought and realizing it's not there to terrorize you, it's there to show you where you still feel unsafe. It's an indication for what part of yourself you didn't integrate yet, but pushed away. And we all do that. Thoughts and feelings that don't feel comfortable or that we don't want to identify with, we push away. But whatever we push away into the shadow, it grows, and it feels neglected. So in order to get your attention, it shows up after being ignored for so long as a big bad wolf. But if you shine that conscious light on it, you will see its true form, your wounded old self, trying to heal, but it can't without your love. So start loving. That's a very big realization. Don't undermine that. If you have that realization already, oh, you're gonna cast those spells so quickly, Charlie. Oh my goodness, your charm is gonna be, yes. But it's a big one, so take your time. These thoughts are nothing is there to terrorize you. It's all there to show you something. It's all there to integrate some part of you that you didn't integrate yet. Because remember, you are already a master. Remembering your mastery, and that's the beautiful thing about this life, you get to experience yourself remembering the greatness of your own true self. And I couldn't write a better story if I was the pen pusher. So Wingardium Leviosa on that feather, I would say. So be kind to yourself as well. And in that moment also realize maybe that there is nothing that wants to see you hurt. There's only the one light and things that weren't integrated in your light yet because you pushed it away. Step 2. Start dopamine detox. Why modern life keeps you stuck. The reason so many people, including myself, honey, sometimes struggle to focus or to chase a goal is because we have so many cheap and easy rewarding content we can consume. And I know it's funny me telling you that on a YouTube video, but I hope this is giving you more than cheap and easy consuming content, so I hope you forgive. You start to become dependent on that dopamine, hit. When something stresses you out, or because you are used to having it available to cheer you up. And that sounds innocent enough, no? It sounds like fair point. We all need a coping mechanism or a pressure release point where we can put off pressure. But it is not innocent, because when the content you consume is a lot of instant dopamine boosts, like funny video, POV climbing of mountains, paragliding, love stories, pretty boys or pretty girls on Instagram, or other sites, looking at you. If you don't proactively chase your goals and the desires as well, then it becomes an escape mechanism. And because we do that, really frustrates me, because I think we as human beings are capable of incredible things. You are capable of incredible things, and I'm genuinely worried that your time spent online consuming, whether it's digital consummation or vaping or smoking weed or using whatever substance you need to turn your brain off. Today I want to tell you that there's another option, there's another way to live. And the quickest way to start actively untangling your brain from the brain rot and not being able to focus or create the life you want, or sit still even, and not feel attacked or stressed, is to be comfortable with boredom again. To de-stimulate, so things like reading a book you like or working on a project doesn't feel ungratifying. We have been trained by social media to be dopamine junkies and to be choosing instant gratification instead of long-term gratifying goals. So what you need to do is to take away those hits and start feeling bored again. And I know it sounds awful, but the way I did it at first is with sport. Like, I started to go swim again, because there is where it forces you to put down your phone, unless you have like one of those like up to 50 meters watertight phones with like the case or whatever and the headphones. But like, realistically, who's gonna do that? Like, there are some people who swim with like headphones, but everybody's side-eyeing them. And like, sometimes I sit by the pool even, and like with my phone, you know, in the hand. So yeah, I'm not perfect, but that was a beginning phase for me to come back into that mental state of not being bombarded by everything, because we are scared of the silence or scared of our own thoughts, because they could mean something or they could hurt us. And I think that is the most important gift to give yourself back. That silence, that space of like being able to be curious or creative, or just sitting in peace and enjoy the sun and enjoy the butterflies or flowers and whatever you want, but like just having that peace of mind again. And trust me, everybody you're jealous of, everybody you admire, everybody they had to fight for that peace of mind too. Like, as I said in the beginning with my breakup, like what I really like found so agonizing was that I, compared to my ex, didn't have that like mental clarity or silence, you know, like where I could persevere or push through things. And that is like, of course I never said that, but like in reflection, that is something that was like almost like getting to me, because I'm like, okay, like it's a little bit of a tangent right now, but like this relationship derailed me so hard because I fell so in love with the guy, or with this person, that I thought, because I feel very deeply and honestly that he was feeling the same, or that it would derail him in the same way, breaking up, you know. And when it didn't, of course my ego was hurt, but I always also wondered, like, where does he take that perseverance of being able to still like have all these entanglements and yada 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 and new people and old people, but still be able to manage his life, manage his career, manage his friends, like having energy to do sports and travel and everything. And I was over here being like an emotional wreck, you know. And like, we can get in all of that if you are interested in another video. But what I really learned is that the most important thing that you can have as an individual on this planet is your mental sanity, and is your mental perseverance and your mental strength, and a north star to something beautiful and wholesome, and like what you want to aspire to be. That is the most important thing, and you can never ever let anything or anyone take that from you, because it's gonna ruin you. It's gonna unalive you even if you let it. And I think that is so important to have. Remember when you were a kid, like, and the time like before screens or PS5 games, and you like saw kids at the beach building like a sandcastle, and like you wanted to join it. It was just like an instinct. You didn't think about it, and you ran off and introduced yourself. Hi guys, what are you doing? I'm building with you guys. And then you started to build, you know. So or when it was nice out and you wanted to go explore. But now, and as an adult, like, you, instead of using your adult money to go out and explore, you sit in your room and goon or play video games for hours and smoke weed and trying to shut your brain off. Why? Because you're most likely not happy with your current situation, financially, romantically, living-wise, physique-wise, etc. And because you probably have a job that takes away at least 8 hours per day of your time. When you come home, you have the feeling of needing to reclaim your time, honey. I know it, I've been there, I've done that, got a t-shirt. Because you feel like you've been on someone else's time for the last 8 hours, no? And that's why you feel like, okay, now that I'm home, I can do like what I want. And now what I want to do is just chill. I want to do nothing. It's almost like a fuck you, or like a F you in the face of like all your responsibilities and all you're like, I'm not doing anything. But what happens if you do that continuously? Your life is wasting away, because all of those hours are stacking up, and in those hours that you would have to build your own, like your career or your hobbies or your friendships, you're doing nothing. So then you also have nothing to show for it. So then you go back to your work because you need the money because you need a roof over your head. And then you come home and do nothing again, and then years go by and you have nothing to show for it because you haven't done anything. And that's like that mental trap that so many people fall into, and I needed to hear that as well. Maybe you need to hear that as well, my little wizard. In which a salary is also a drug. Don't become addicted to that either. Don't trade in your dreams and aspirations for financial security or safety or comfort, because comfort is like a slow death. It's like its poison is that it's comfortable, you know, that it seems good, that it wants you to rest, and you are allowed to rest, and hey, you can just like stimulate yourself and feel comfortable, and you can do that. But that is like taking away your edge slowly but surely, and taking away all your aspirations and all of your goals and all of your drive because you feel comfortable. And that's like a slow death. And how do we counteract that? So how do we do that? Like, because it feels hard, because like the easy choices like gooning or chilling at home or doing nothing or like eating bad, that is not the life we want. So how do we change even though it feels hard? By doing it slowly, day by day, hour by hour. And before you know it, it has been 10-20 years and you gain so much momentum, you're like, what the fuck? Like, okay, because snowball effects, honey, work in both ways, you know, negative or positives. So you decide. And also what you need to realize, you didn't choose it, so don't beat up yourself, you know. You were born in an age where you are bombarded with information and entertainment, and you have so many bright lights like trying to grab your attention, like, but there's only one light you need to I'm joking. So it's like super important to develop a media literacy, so to speak, or like to choose consciously what you give your attention to and what you consume. The way to detox your brain and to be able to become a magnet for what you want is to be not relying on cheap and easy hits or consumable media that give you nothing back, you know, but become inspired by the process of becoming again. Like, that is the trick. Like a child that sees other building a sandcastle. Join the kids out there, wizard, or build your own, but be inspired and enjoy the beach instead of staying in the shadows watching everyone else play. Realize earned dopamine versus cheap dopamine, there's a difference. So walk without headphones, leave phone at home for 20 minutes, sit in silence. But that's how you do it, like day by day, slowly but surely. Step 3, become a creative athlete. What if I told you everything you've been taught about creativity is wrong? What if I told you that the difference between people who achieve their dreams and the people who spend their lives dreaming isn't talent? It's not intelligent, it's not luck, it's not manifestation. It's that one group treats their craft like an athlete treats their training, and the other treats it like it's a hobby. Today I want to convince you to become a creative athlete. The inspiration trap. This is where it gets powerful, my dear. A lot of people wait for motivation to happen, and I was one of them. Examples: you start YouTube when you feel confident. You start the gym when you feel motivated. You start a business when you feel ready. You start writing when you feel inspired. But athletes don't operate like that. So if motivation isn't the answer, what is? Most people say, I want to become a writer. A creative athlete says, I am a writer who hasn't written enough yet. Most people say, I want to become fit. An athlete says, I am someone who trains. Identity first, results later. This is a massive mind shift. Like, if you get that down, you are safe 60, 70, 80% already there. You need to shift your mind first into saying, okay, I am a writer, I am a YouTuber, I am a rich person, I am good with money, I am confident, I have a boyfriend, I have a girlfriend, I have a successful job, I have a fulfilled life, I have good friends, I am a person who has good friends. You need to first switch your identity into someone who already has the things you want to have, and then your life and your actions start to mirror that confidence that you start to build in yourself, and then everything in your reality has to command that new signal that you are forcing out, you know? And it's a very hard process, and I will teach you all about it. But this is like the first shift you really need to do and think about. This is like the first thing we need to do to get you out of that trap. And then what is like the second step? Like, what can we do when we had that mindset shift? I'm glad you asked. Like, you build your training program, my little wizard. This is where the actual practical value comes in, you know, of all that mindset changing. Like, or ask yourself, what would happen if you treated your dream like an Olympic training? Like, what does that maybe look like? Maybe like 1 page written every day, or maybe 1 YouTube short every day, or maybe 30 minutes editing every day, or like maybe 1 sketch every day. Not huge, babe, but consistent, you know? So you need to create a routine that you can show up for every day. Create something that excites you as well, because without that, sustainability falls out the window. But it can't be as easy that you don't have to think about it. It has to be something where it challenges you and moves you in the direction you want to go, but it isn't as hard so that you like clench up every time you think about doing it that day, you know? So it has to be something in the middle, you know? And I know, my witches and wizards, it's a hard beginning, and the mountain feels insurmountable in the beginning. It feels like, whoa. But to be honest, it should feel like that. Because in my opinion, if the mountain doesn't feel huge AF in the beginning, it's the wrong goal. You want to dream big. You want to have like big goals and aspirations. So, and of course the distance feels like huge, you know? But what we need to implement is a process that you can follow, as I said, and stick to it no matter what. And there's the challenge. Yes, there's facing discomfort. Yes, there's not always easy days. Yes, there's days you wanna give up. But you and your body and your brain start to enjoy that after a while. Trust me. You start to enjoy the challenge of the game. You then almost become like addicted to that. Like, that's why I was just talking about it, when like your craft or your practice you give yourself into becomes like a drug. Like, that's like a good drug, you know? So you need to fall in love with like the repetitions, you know? This is the part that most people never hear. And I'm here to give it to you, magical soul. Athletes don't love winning. They learn to love training. And that's the difference. YouTubers don't succeed because they love going viral. They succeed because they enjoy scripting, filming, editing, improving. The process becomes the reward. And that's where the magic also happens. My witches and wizards, the mountain isn't climbed in 1 heroic step. It's climbed in 1 step at a time. And 1 workout, 1 page, 1 video, 1 sketch, 1 conversation, 1 act of courage. The people that you admire aren't superhuman. They're just good at doing this all over. And they stop waiting for inspiration to happen, and they stop to wait for permission. They just become a creative athlete, and you can do the same. Do it now and train for the life you want. Magic isn't cast in 1 powerful spell. I'll leave you with this. But magic is showing up for you every day and practicing your craft. So I really hope this helps and makes it simpler to take back control. And I will create more of these videos. So please leave a like and subscribe. Love and light, my friends. Ollivander.